Hey, welcome back to the Hub channel. It is Friday, the best day of the week to do a market recap, to go over what we had happened in the markets this week. So much up and down, so much turbulence. Obviously, we had CPI data coming out earlier this week and inflation and all that stuff, but we're going to be going over that with Rob here. Let's go ahead and bring Rob in. Rob is my favorite guy to be talking about the markets and what is happening. You do some of the best chart reads around. Rob, how you been this week? What have you been seeing in the market?
Well, happy Friday to you, Brandon, and appreciate the comments. Thanks. And you're right. It's been an interesting week with the inflation information that's come out. We had the CPI that came out on Tuesday, which put a little bit of a shock into the markets. And if we take a look at the chart, you can see the downward move that occurred on Tuesday. And I was kind of wondering, is this the start of some sort of a correction? But so far, we've just gone back up. I'm a little concerned with, all right, we came back and filled the gap. I'm not convinced we're going higher yet until we take out that wave 3 high there that occurred back on the 12th. And then we had the PPI report that came out today. So again, CPI is retail pricing, PPI is wholesale pricing. It was hotter than expected as well. Rates are back up today, as we'll look at. I'm sure. Here's a quick chart. You can see that bounce back to the upside on rates today. And I just think that all we're doing is continuing to further price out these rate cuts as of yesterday. Who knows what it is today after the PPI report, but as of yesterday, there was an 82% chance from the Fed fund futures that the first rate cut won't be till June. They had Jeffrey Gundlach on CNBC on Tuesday. They usually have him on Fed Day, but I guess with the CPI report, they brought him back on, and he said he didn't see a rate cut. Now, he's a bond guy, remember, and I do listen to him for bond stuff, not so much on the equities, but he can't help himself, and he comments on equities markets as well. But he said he didn't see a rate cut before June, if at all. So now we're talking about some sort of a chance that maybe we don't have rate cuts this year. And the adage that the media has picked up of higher for longer with rates seems to be playing out. But if we close where we are right now, Brandon, we're going to have a bit of a doji here after filling the gap. We got a holiday weekend coming up. The markets are closed on Monday for President's Day. I'm going to be interested to see how the squaring of positions goes into the close. And I just think we still have to be a little cautious right here until we see some sort of a significant break above that wave 3 high. One last thing, Brandon, here. This is worrisome as well. We have the declining volume. I had mentioned that in last week's market update, where we had this rising pennant pattern, which is a breakout pattern, not quite the horsepower of the triangles that I like to look at, but still a breakout pattern nonetheless. And then we had declining volume there as well. And so then we saw what happened Tuesday with the news. So volume was on its way down. Then Tuesday we get the big volume spike on the sell-off. But with that doji, we've rallied back up. I think it's a crapshoot as to what happens at the beginning of next week. We're just going to have to wait and see and go from there. I know that's not what people like to hear, but that's the prudent thing to do right now, is just kind of sit on your hands a little bit at this moment, see where things happen, how they play out next week.
No, I think that's the number one anybody looking for guidance wants to hear, is a crapshoot. I think that's perfect, Rob. I think you nailed it. With that, you hit on a couple of things. And by the way, if you have any stocks that you want Rob to go over here in the next little bit, by all means, put those in the chat and we'll get those covered. But Rob, you mentioned you don't see rate cuts, maybe possibly till June, maybe not even possibly this year. I tend to agree with you. I don't see an environment right now where they could actually cut rates. And I don't know what that's going to do to the market when they come out and say it, even though everybody can see it. But the other thing that I think comes into play here this year is it is an election year. So how much candy, as they say, is going to be pushed into the market to help stimulate people into voting one way or another? And how's that going to impact the market, do you think?
Well, that's an interesting comment, because a lot of people talk about that. Typically, in election years, it's a bit of a bullish signal. Markets tend to rally into an election. That's a historical norm. Honestly, election cycles is not one of the big things that I personally follow, but a lot of people talk about it. And, with a run up like we've had, could we continue? Sure, we could. We've got this target price up here around 520 on the Wave 5 tap box, which is a projection of where things could go and whether or not we have more of a little correction first or if we just run up there. But it is a great point to bring up, Brandon, and that's historically, and that's what we look at with technicals, right? We use history to help us determine where things are now and where things are likely to go. And historically, election years have been bullish. So maybe that was just a blip on the radar screen. I think we need to see that PCE report. I think that comes out on the 28th. It's at the end of the month. That's the one the Fed really looks at. If that comes in hotter following the CPI and the PPI, then I think you're going to see the rate cuts get pushed out into fall, if at all. So, yeah. Is it going to follow suit with the election cycle or not? I really don't have a great read on that one. It's a great question, though.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's okay. Let's get to and this. I'm going to tell you something real personal because I think this will help lead into. We have a question from the chat about a stock here, and I'm going to tell you something. My wife said that I need to diversify out of crypto, so I did something this week, and I've actually pulled some money. And I'm going to put it in the stock market. And for one of 3 stocks is the reason I'm putting into the stock market. So I don't know if this is actually diversification or not. But one of the stocks somebody wants to talk about is Marathon. So they want to talk about Mara, or sorry, not Marathon, but Mara. They want to talk about Mara. And I want you to take a look at this stock as well, because one of the ones that I'm looking at is Mara, MicroStrategy, and another one, because I'm going to buy calls in those stocks. And my wife says to diversify.
You're not leaving Bitcoin or the crypto world. That's a bunch of baloney. You may be careful with your wife that you're moving out of crypto, but I know better. You're talking about a crypto miner here.
Don't tell my wife that it's a crypto miner.
I hope she's not listening, dude, or you're in trouble.
I know.
Yeah, well, yeah, you might as well be staying in crypto, as you know. But this is a miner, Marathon Digital, and it's moving up nicely with the crypto world. Kudos to you for calling 50,000 several weeks ago on Bitcoin. We're there. I'm curious as to where you think it's going to go from here. But the read on this stock is we have to break above 30 here. You can see right now we're trading, as we speak, around 28.10 or so. Looking like a little doji there. I don't know. I've been kind of feeling, I was curious as to your read, that maybe Bitcoin and the crypto world need to take a little bit of a breather here after such a nice run, but Marathon has certainly gone along with it. But for me to look long here, I just want to see, it's a little bit overbought from the 10-day moving average. I think it's highly likely it continues higher. I just think it needs to rest here a little bit. Some consolidation right under this 30 level, gather some energy and momentum, and then break above it. And then I think it's off towards that 37, 38 target there. And good old Mister that you mentioned, which has made no bones about how much they're in the crypto world. They're into more of that than anything else, has also followed along with the rally in Bitcoin. This is a really good company. No question about it. Their charts relabeled to a wave 3. Got a little bit overbought over the last couple of days here as far as the separation from the 10-day moving average. And again, maybe in a little more sideways consolidation here. The difference between this and Mara is it is consolidating on top of that high that occurred back here on the 2nd of January. So big rally up, consolidation here. If it stays in this area, it could even move back down here towards 680. And I don't think that would be an issue at all. So it's got a corridor of support there between 680 and 720. So finding its feet somewhere in there. I think this one goes higher as well. So even though I don't buy this diversification out of crypto or Bitcoin here, Brandon. But I think that you picked two really good stocks to quote diversify with. I hate to even ask what it is.
I honestly, I think I'm in trouble. My wife is legitimately in the chat right now, and I don't even know how she found this, but she called me out. I don't know what is happening right now. It's gonna be. I'll be like, oh, I was just kidding. I'm buying stocks now, but I like your read here, and I am gonna try to wait for a pullback to see if I can get some long options. But the synopsis that I see playing out in Bitcoin, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I see something happening in Bitcoin that nobody will believe right now. And so that's the only reason I don't know if these will pull back. But technically speaking, the charts, the way you're looking at those, yeah, I would expect a pullback before I get into some long call options there and kind of play that out. But we'll see how that plays out. We did have one other question here to finally get off of the those types of stocks that I might be diversifying into. FSR, Marty wants to take a look at FSR. What's that looking like?
Well, let's take a look. Fisker. So now we're getting into a whole different world.
Yeah.
Even going to survive, I think, is the question. The whole EV thing and all. I don't know. It's in real danger here of moving to the pink sheets because it's under $1 and it's been under $1 for a while. That means that they take it off the exchanges, and it's got to find some sort of a bid. I kind of feel like this goes away, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be one of the survivors. There's so much competition out there now. The Chinese are being really aggressive. They're taking some market share from Tesla, which actually did have a bounce where it needed to bounce. If we want to look at that chart, but I don't know if Fisker survives, to be quite honest. So yeah, I think they're in danger of being delisted here. That's a long time to be traded. There's just no interest in it. You can see these tiny little bars. If there was any sort of an upward move with small bars, that would indicate accumulation. But when you have these little bars here going sideways, there's just nobody wants to buy this stock. And as I said, China is being very aggressive with all of the doodads that they're more interested in the electronics. They're even taking away the dashboards, and all the information is literally put on the road in front of you and on the screens, on the windshields, etc. And the Chinese people seem to be really digging that, and they're buying the Chinese maker EVs. So that's hurt Tesla a bit. So I would be quite concerned about that one. In fact, I actually had the chart of Tesla loaded. So since they give us an opportunity to talk about it, it said it really needed to hold this 180 level. And at least for now it has. But again, it's just going up and filling the gap. I'm a huge believer the gaps get filled. We have AI data at LE Wave Options, evotrader.com, that show that 94% of gaps get filled. So it's not 100%, but they get filled a lot. So when Tesla goes up and fills this gap, which is very close to doing, can it mount any more of a run? I'm not sure. I'm not sure there either. I know there's been some issues with the Cybertruck, etc. All the hoopla around the launch, and now they're finding kind of bugs and stuff. And so I think this is more of a reflex bounce here on Tesla. So I'm not comfortable going long that one right now either. But a break above 220 and I'd change my mind. If we could close that gap, get back above 220, then perhaps we have something going on Tesla. But this is another one that I think is we're in wait and see mode here. But you teased us with you're seeing something that other people aren't in Bitcoin. What is that? What are you seeing there?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. And that comes with a little bit of backstory. It only makes me sad that people don't want to learn about Bitcoin, and then they start to FOMO. The term FOMO. They start to FOMO in a little bit later, unfortunately, because they just won't listen and they won't pay attention to the mathematical history and things like that. But right now, we're seeing a huge inflow of ETF volume every single day into Bitcoin. People are starting to buy. They barely started advertising for those Bitcoin ETFs. So what has happened is we see on average over the last 11 days, $500 million coming into Bitcoin every single day. And we see an according price jump with that $500 inflow every single day. If that continues at even 25% of that scale into the halving, we are going to see $63,000 Bitcoin by the halving. And I have the mathematical models to prove it that I've gone over in my private shows that I do on crypto. But I do see Bitcoin running up to about 63,000 by the halving. Over the weekend here, you're going to see a slowdown. We saw Bitcoin hit 50,000, kind of just like you and I had talked about here on the show. We knew it was going to hit 50,000. Right now, it's sitting at 52,000, which is nothing to shirk at. I think that's going to pull back a little bit here over the weekend to maybe 51,000. It'll consolidate here shortly over the next week as we wait for this Genesis sell to come to fruition and see what happens with that grayscale selling over here in the next few days. But once they figure out that's a big nothing burger and it's going to get absorbed by BlackRock, Fidelity, and even Schwab, some new ETFs are coming online here with $1 trillion in assets under management. Once we see all that start to happen, Bitcoin inflows are going to increase, and we're going to see that run up here. Nothing is going to stop Bitcoin right now. Literally nothing.
That's interesting. And can I get your view on Ethereum real quick? It's had a nice run too. Is it gonna be dragged along with it, or?
Ethereum actually is going to outpace Bitcoin over the next 2 months, in my opinion. Right now, over the last 90 days, Ethereum's been lagging Bitcoin, but Ethereum has some new ETFs that are going to be in the highlight coming here towards May.
Wow.
People are going to be talking more and more about those. And as they bring that into the mainstream media and people are talking about that, people are going to be diving into Ethereum similar to how they were into Bitcoin. So I think it could outpace Bitcoin over the next 2 to 3 months as well.
Awesome. Yeah, you taught me something there. I wasn't even aware that the Ethereum ETFs were coming out. So there we go.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in the crypto world, and we're reaching a point of new adoption. So people are just starting to realize, oh crap, I can invest in Bitcoin. It is a store of value. Right now, I don't know if you've ever seen a chart of the gold ETFs. People are flowing out of the gold ETFs into Bitcoin ETFs right now, because I think that might be a safer store of value going forward. And as these funds are starting to manage Bitcoin, it's just becoming more accessible for everybody to start buying Bitcoin. They don't have to manage their private keys. They don't have to worry about losing their wallets. They can let BlackRock manage all their stuff. And this is going to continue towards the end of the year. I think everybody's going to be shocked when we see, just like I said, $80,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. You're not going to be shocked because I told you, but everybody else who's not listening or wants to stay oblivious to what is happening is going to be shocked. So it is what it is.
There's the gold, the GLD, one of the gold ETFs, and you can see the breakdown out of that triangle. So I'm with you there. And one surprise to me, though, I mean, staying on the whole crypto thing, is this move in Coinbase. I know we moved down because there was concern with these ETFs if people were going to trade as much on Coinbase, and look at that move. I don't know if you have any comments on that. That's a little vertical for me right now, but and nonetheless,
unfortunately, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a little vertical for me right now in this area, but it's been one heck of a move for sure.
Oh my gosh. So there is a dichotomous way of thinking right now with the chart reads and what is actually happening mathematically behind the scenes, and with the dollars and the supply crunch going on in crypto. You understand the term short squeeze, and that is what is happening right now with Bitcoin. Currently, 900 Bitcoin is being mined every day, but right now we have 14,000 Bitcoin being purchased every day. So once you start doing the math on that, that dries up pretty quickly. Coinbase is handling a lot of the I mean, when you're at a 14 times negative deficit, and keep in mind the halving, that 900 Bitcoin goes to 450 Bitcoin being produced every single day, which is unfortunate for people wanting to buy Bitcoin, obviously. So Coinbase right here is one handling a big bulk of those OTC orders that the ETFs are having to come purchase and buy Bitcoin to back their ETFs. So as Bitcoin continues to go up, their fees are only going to increase. And so we see a vertical move here on the chart, but I don't think that is very different than the actual picture of what's happening behind the scenes. And that's why that's such a vertical move. If you scroll out of that chart there, that Coinbase chart, zoom all the way out. We look at the all-time high for Coinbase. What was it at? If you scroll all the way out of that bad boy, was it in the 200 range? What did it open up? 300. Yeah. So I mean, Coinbase could be one.
400, and then it came back up to 370 back in November of 2021. So it's got a ways to run. I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
And
Coinbase is one of those ones that could follow crypto. Yeah.
I should clarify that it's a personal thing with me. When things go quickly like this, I tend to have a hard time chasing those moves. But on the other side of the coin is, all you have to do is look at SMCI to see that stuff can go vertically for quite some time. We're finally getting a little bit of a pullback today, but just a straight moonshot there and that's a little bit of a move back to the mean days, but rocket ship up to 1,000. I mean, you go back here, Brandon, on SMCI on the 18th of January, it closed at 311. And then yesterday it closed over 1,000. So 3 weeks, it went from 300 to 1,000. So yeah, these vertical moves, just because it goes vertically doesn't mean that's the end of it. It's just a personal thing with me that I have a hard time chasing those vertical moves, but they can continue for a while. And it sounds like you feel in anything in the crypto world that we're just getting going here.
Yeah, we're just starting here. And I'm with you, though. I don't think that I would buy this week's call options in Coinbase and expect that it not to have a pullback of any sort, just because, that's what everybody's thinking is going to happen right now in a stock. But if things keep trending the way they are, I think you'd be in a good spot with any options towards the upside. Gosh, I could talk about crypto all day, obviously, but geez.
Yeah. Well, I do feel in general, just talking about technicals in general, to be clear, when you get these vertical moves, the corrections can be very short-lived. So, like right here, we had a little minor correction there on the 13th of February, and then it took off again. And we had a little consolidation right here at the beginning of February. So it might be being a little bit picky to say that, when it gets too vertical, I want to wait for a consolidation or a pullback. You have to be quick on the trigger because it's not like they give you a whole lot of notice on when the correction is going to end. When they have this kind of a bid behind them, they get going in a hurry. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you want to step in on a vertical move and you're willing to absorb if it does pull back a little bit, with the knowledge that it's likely going higher anyway. So everybody has different risk tolerances, and people say are more aggressive, some are more conservative, and you have to fit your own risk tolerance profile when you're making those decisions.
Yeah, you're spot on here. This is exactly right. That's crazy. That's a crazy looking chart there. Let's look at one more before we wrap things up here. Let's look at CRSP. This is from Chris.
Okay.
I know it's a total change 180 here.
Yeah. Well, the chart's not, but the sector is. So
yeah, it's so funny.
Another vertical move. Now this one makes a lot of sense to me because we had this really nice consolidation here in a large symmetrical triangle that just went back and forth. I love the ones that are set up this way with basically multiple touches of the line, so you can see the consistent lower highs and higher lows moving into the point, and then the breakout to the upside. So the issue here is it has made the expected move from this symmetrical triangle breakout. It's giving a little bit of a pullback today. I would say that, if you got back here to 80, that might be a place to look. If you're already long, congratulations. If you're looking, gosh, I want to find a spot to get in here, If you were fortunate enough to get back to 80, great, but it's forming a doji here today as well. 3-day weekend coming up. It might very well take off again on Tuesday. I just, when I talk about these levels, those are like the ideal levels, and oftentimes the market doesn't give you the ideal levels to enter and exit. So you keep that in mind too. This may be all the pullback that it gets, but it has done its breakout. I would want to see, just again for my own disciplines, I would want to see it test and hold 80, and if it did, then perhaps we enter again. But same thing there. It's overextended from the 10-day moving average. It's done what it was supposed to do from the triangle. It's kind of in the show me phase now if it can continue to go up. So I'd want to see the test of 80. Maybe we talk about this one again next week and it's at 100. But normally when stocks touch 90 like that, 100 is in the cards at some point. It's very rare a stock hits 90 and doesn't go to 100. That's kind of one of those things like the election cycle stuff. That's the kind of stuff that just usually happens. So it just depends on if you want to step in now or not. It's the tractor beam effect, right? That big round number. All the big round numbers do it, but 100 is just is king of them. When stocks get this high, they tend to need to hit that 100 level. So I think that's probably likely in this stock.
Dang, so many overextended stocks we looked at today. Holy cow, what a day. We're just kind of waiting for some pullbacks here, I think. Oh my gosh, I would hate to hop in any of those at the top too. So, Rob, it's been fun as always. I really appreciate these sessions where we can kind of go back and forth and see what your take is on the markets, what you're seeing, what's happening right now. I think that's very valuable for everybody watching and for me as well. Just kind of watch as I kind of dive and diversify into the stock market. I think that's going to be good for me to watch. But thank you so much.
You're still trying to found that. You're already in trouble, dude. You're not getting out of that. So that was a good effort. I'm not letting you. Not letting you get out of that.
Please don't explain this to my wife, please. Anyway, thank you so much, Rob. But as for everybody else, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Please go ahead and like this video, and we're going to go over more reads just like this one. We'll be talking all stocks and what's happening every time here in the market, and I think it's very valuable for everybody. Take it easy, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.